Echoes call from hollow halls, a voice that creeps and softly crawls. Time stands still, the air is.
In 2016, several terrible events started unraveling in 4 retirement homes around the Plano area of Dallas, Texas. That includes the Preston Place, Parkview in Frisco, Tradition Prestonwood, and Edgemere Retirement Community. Many seniors were losing their lives in mysterious circumstances. The problem was that the authorities and retirement home management were not paying attention. Most of the deaths were dismissed as natural since the people involved were old. However, family members could not help but notice how strange it is that people who were active and didn't have any health complaints suddenly die. This odd pattern continued until 2018, and even though the death rate soared significantly in those 2 years, those in charge failed to look a little more closely into the incidents. In September 2017, things took a more disturbing turn when 2 seniors, Helen Lee and Marilyn Bexler, were found dead in their retirement homes. This was the first time authorities started to notice the pattern. Helen was 82 years old, while Marilyn was 91. They were good friends who lived at the Parkview in Frisco retirement home. They did a lot of things together. On Sunday, September 30, 2017, Helen's granddaughter Lindsay was supposed to meet her at church, but her grandmother didn't show up without prior notice. When she visited her place at the retirement home, she found Helen dead with her walking cane lying beside her. Police later confirmed that she died of a heart attack, eerily similar to the circumstances surrounding a friend's death. For Helen and Marilyn, families complained that they were found on their beds, as if someone had carefully placed them there, and then, all their jewelry was just gone. That's not all. They found bruises on their body and broken glasses belonging to one of them. This was when alarm bells started ringing loudly. This same pattern had been noticed in many other seniors in the retirement homes in the region. Another senior, 85-year-old Norma French, never removed her wedding ring, but it was missing after they found her dead. For 92-year-old Doris Gleason, it was her gold necklace. As police began their investigation, they noticed 2 key details. The first was that strange events were happening in 4 retirement homes, and the other was that these homes did not have enough surveillance systems. The limited footage was scoured and questions were asked, but police didn't get any lead until the attack on 91-year-old Mary Bartell. Grandma Bartell lived at the Preston Place retirement community for many years with her husband Donald, who passed on in 2015. Preston Place, one of the luxury retirement homes in the area, provided shelter and home care services for older adults. The community has been peaceful and even won awards for its excellent services. March 19, 2018, a 911 call was placed from the Preston Place home. It was Mary's friend, Jackie. The 2 women were supposed to attend exercise classes together, but when she got to the apartment, Mary was not outside like she used to. Even more strangely, her depression was open. Jackie rushed into Mary's place to find her on the floor. She wasn't moving. When the first responders arrived, they couldn't revive Mary. Friends and family were worried, but they kept hope alive as health workers scrambled to help Mary back to consciousness. Eventually, she opened her eyes, and the first thing she did shocked everyone. She raised her fingers. Everyone present wasn't sure what they were looking at or what she was trying to tell them, but it became clear that her wedding ring was missing. She never took off her wedding ring, but that wasn't the only revelation. They were searching the apartment for the ring when they noticed that other pieces of jewelry were also gone. The eyes of police officers lit up. An eureka moment. This was the exact pattern surrounding the deaths in the retirement homes. They recognized that this was their chance to solve all the cases, so they launched a homicide investigation, and the search for an alleged serial killer began. Mary Bartell informed investigators what had happened. She was on her computer when she heard a knock on her door. When she opened the door, a tall, unfamiliar man attempted to squeeze himself inside. Mary struggled to prevent him, but was no match for a much younger and stronger Billy Kemmermere. The struggle continued inside until she passed out. The man, later identified as Billy Kemmermere, was a caregiver in the retirement homes. Occasionally, he also served as a maintenance guy, so he had all these work clothes and equipment that helped him gain access to these aged individuals. Born Billy Kipkor, he is the son of a village chief in Kenya's Baringo County. He moved to the United States and started engaging in vices from time to time. Between 2010 and 2011, Billy received short sentences and fines for driving while drunk. In 2012, he was arrested for the assault of a female companion, and by 2016, he was arrested for trespassing around the Edgemere retirement community. However, Billy managed to stay off the radar of the police as he stalked and attacked his victims. Armed with Billy's description from Mary Bartell, Police checked the surveillance videos and saw him. He had visited the community many times using different costumes and loitering suspiciously. What the police officers did not realize at this time was that Billy had already found his next victim. A day after the attack on Mary, March 20, 2018, Billy stalked Lou Tai Harris and followed her into a local Walmart store. The surveillance cameras captured him carefully following Harris until she finished shopping. Unfortunately, he followed Harris to her house, murdered her, and stole her jewelry box. Billy was arrested in front of his North Dallas apartment. Police found numerous items linking him to several murders in his car. They also found a pawn shop and an online account through which he sold the stolen items. He was found guilty of murder and sentenced to life in prison. September 19, 2023, Billy Chemmermere died in jail at the hands of his cellmate, Wyatt Busby. Before we go any further, I just want to ask you for a small favor. If you're enjoying the video so far, please give it a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. We recently hit 100,000 subscribers, and that's all thanks to you. Our 100K special surprise was revealed, and we had many positive responses from you. Our next goal is to hit 200K before the year ends. It feels impossible, but hey, it's free to dream, right? Also, there's a hidden word somewhere in this video for you. Let's see if you can find it. Now, back to the video. Queen Chong, also known as Deborah, was a Malaysian woman who moved to the UK from Kuala Lumpur. By 2004, she had moved to Chaplin Road and worshipped at the Emmanuel Center Church. Quickly became well known at the church as she was a devout Christian who hardly missed church services. It was at this church that she met a friend, Gemma Mitchell. While she made many friends in church and the neighborhood, she was particularly drawn to Gemma for good reasons. Mitchell had paranoid schizophrenia, and Gemma was someone who was helping her get through it. Gemma studied human sciences and knew a thing or two more than the average person regarding the human body. Gemma was a 32-year-old osteopath who lived in Australia for a while before returning to London. She lived with her mom, who used to work in the British office in Australia. Gemma became an osteopath in Australia and couldn't use her qualification in the UK, so she didn't have a job and couldn't afford a place of her own. But by 2021, cash wasn't flowing for the family as it used to. Their house needed urgent renovations, so Gemma and her mom started looking for ways to generate the money. On the other hand, Mia's schizophrenia was getting worse. She would occasionally act strangely and had to be put on strong medications. She also attended spiritual healing sessions with her friend Gemma. June 11, 2021, Mia's lodger came looking for her, but she was nowhere to be found. With the knowledge of her mental health, the lodger quickly contacted the police. Strangely, the two of them had seen each other that day, so her sudden disappearance didn't seem right. When Gemma heard that Mia was missing, she stepped in to calm everyone. According to Gemma, her friend has had plans to travel to Malaysia since the previous year, and she has finally made that journey. This might sound like a plausible idea to someone who didn't know Mia, but she was close to her lodger and wouldn't have made that kind of journey without letting him know. It gets worse. Surveillance cameras didn't show her leaving home. Taxi companies do not have a record of Mia taking a ride to the airport, and even her passport didn't contain any indication. Even bank transactions did not show her withdrawing any significant money. Unless the plan was to teleport from her apartment, it's unlikely she traveled to Malaysia. 2 weeks after Mia went missing, a tourist on holiday in Salcombe, 200 miles off Wembley, located a decomposing decapitated body along her path. After forensic examination, authorities revealed that the body belonged to Queen Chong. The case officially switched from that of a missing person to a homicide. Not much could be concluded since the body was already in bad shape, but they found bruises and injuries, and the test suggested she was assaulted and might have died from the injuries. It was time to start looking for suspects. Some of the people interrogated mentioned that Gemma was the closest person to Mia, but they didn't know that the two had a disagreement some days before Mia disappeared. Gemma had approached Mia for help regarding her mom's house. She wanted a loan to renovate their home, and Mia agreed to help her with some money. Somewhere along the line, Mia changed her mind and advised Gemma to sell the house. She noted that they'll continue spending on it, and selling and using the money for other things might be better. This did not sit well with Gemma. The relationship between the two broke down, culminating in a text from Mia to Gemma where she barred her from visiting until the house was sold. This further angered Gemma. So on June 11, 2021, Gemma packed her backpack and a suitcase. The destination was Mia's house, and going through her mind was the most sinister plan ever. CCTV cameras captured her leaving her mom's house at 6:15 a.m. The next time we saw her at 6:40 a.m., she had changed her clothing and concealed her face. She was again seen with the same suitcase some minutes before 8 a.m. Notice how freely she walked with the suitcase as if it were light. This won't be the case the next time we see Gemma. A minute before 1 p.m., Gemma was seen on surveillance cameras again. This time she can be seen pulling 2 suitcases that appear quite heavy. At some point, she hired a taxi to transport her home, but by 4:15 in the evening, she was seen returning home with the big blue suitcase. That evening, she also visited the St. Thomas Hospital in London to treat one of her fingers. She claimed that she shut it in the door. For the next few days, Gemma started trying to cover her tracks. She sent some emails and a WhatsApp message telling Ms. Lodger that she had traveled to Malaysia to see her family. On June 26, Gemma was no longer feeling well with the big blue suitcase in her house. So she contacted a rental company and got a gray Volvo car. By 8 in the morning, she was seen loading the suitcase into the car, then drove towards Salcombe. She stopped at a petrol station on the way, and some minutes after 9, she was seen traveling on Bennett Road. The same camera caught her traveling in the opposite direction 40 minutes later. She returned the car and dumped the suitcase on a neighbor's shed. Mi's body was discovered the next day, but it took them extra days before they could find her head. With all the evidence pointing in the same direction, the police visited her house to take her in. After searching the house, they found some of the victim's personal belongings as well as a forged will where Gemma wrote that she was to inherit Mead's properties after her death. Gemma refused to give comments during interrogation and was found not guilty when the trial began. October 27, 2022, Gemma Mitchell was found guilty of Queen Chong. She was the first person to be convicted of murder on live television. She was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 34 years. LaurenMcCcluskey was born in Berkeley, California, on February 12, 1997. Her parents, Matt and Jill McCluskey, were employed as professors at Washington State University shortly after her birth. This meant they had to relocate to Pullman, Washington, where Lauren grew into a strong athletic woman. At 8, Lauren joined the Junior Olympic Association track, becoming recognized as she racked up the wins. She became exceptionally good at sports, setting various junior Olympic records in long jump, high jump, and 400-meter run. While participating in hurdles and high jump, Lauren won 19 USA Track and Field All-American awards. She also set track and field records, some of which are still in place today. In her first year at high school, Lauren was the high jump champion at Washington State High School. However, Lauren wasn't just a talented athlete, she was also kind and volunteered at the local animal center. After high school, she was admitted to the University of Utah with the aim of continuing her athletic career. You see, Lauren was also an excellent student academically. She got good grades and was progressing through university, as well as anyone could want. As an athlete and a brilliant student, Lauren made friends easily, but she never took any of them for granted. She was always kind and generally fun, sometimes singing, dancing, and even doing stand-up comedy. One day during her senior year, Lauren and her roommate Alex decided to have fun at the London Bell Bar. By the door was a bouncer named Sean. The 28-year-old man took an interest in Lauren and frequently checked on them during their time there. He said he just wanted to make sure they were having a good time, but it was clear what his intentions were. He seemed to act the part so well that Lauren was convinced. When she was leaving with her friend, she approached Sean and gave him her number. Sean contacted her the next day. They got talking, saw each other a few times, and planned their first date. They went rock climbing and had a dinner date afterwards. Lauren was pleased with this man and started telling family and friends about him. Lauren's mom, Jill, was not totally welcoming of the idea because of their age difference. Sean was 7 years older. Alex, her friend, thought they looked perfect together, and everyone trusted Lauren to make the best decisions for herself. What they didn't know was that Sean was a master at deceit and manipulation. Sean told Lauren he was from New York. He said he was working part-time as a bouncer, so he could afford his degree in computer science. He would take Lauren on nice dates and picnics. He even did the extras, paid for things, and bought Lauren flowers. He made Lauren think of him as the perfect gentleman. However, as time passed, he could not keep up the act. His mask began to slip. Sean became controlling. Lauren was no longer allowed to go out on her own or with friends without his permission. She wasn't allowed to speak to any other man. Even after he granted her permission to go out, she was to keep her phone close at all times and respond to his messages immediately after sending them. If she were driving, she'd tell Alex or anyone with her to answer for her. Lauren's friends called her attention to the patterns. but she thought it was just trust issues as a result of being cheated on in the past. But it was already having an adverse effect on her emotional and psychological well-being. Her friends could see it, so they reported the case to campus security, mentioning Sean's toxic behavior and how he'd even come to campus with his firearm. Surprisingly, campus security did nothing about it. They continued dating until one day, Lauren saw his ID card. Sean's face was on it, but the name beside it was Melvin Rowland. After more research, it became clear that Sean had lied to her about everything. His real name was Melvin, and he was 37 years old. Even more worryingly, he had been involved in many unsettling crimes. Melvin was a convicted felon and sexual offender who had spent 14 years in jail. He has been on parole 3 times after being put back in prison due to breaking the parole terms repeatedly. Everyone encouraged Lauren to break up with him, but she knew it wouldn't be easy. It became even more complicated because Lauren's car was with Melvin. She finally told him they needed to talk, but something happened while she waited for him. She was on a phone call in her room when she suddenly heard a noise outside the window. When she looked out, she found Melvin crouched under her window, listening to all her conversations on the phone. When Melvin stormed angrily, Lauren informed him of everything she had learned and wanted out of the relationship. Melvin snapped. He trapped Lauren inside the room until the next day and kept Lauren's car to himself. Then he started sending her strange text messages. Lauren told her mom, who reached out to campus security. She got her car back, but the strange anonymous texts continued. Then he blackmailed Lauren, threatening to release her private pictures if she didn't send $1,000. She sent the money, but also contacted the university security again. Lauren also sought help from the Salt Lake City Police Department last, who directed her back to campus security. Despite contacting campus police and Salt Lake PD, Lauren was left alone without help. On October 26th, Melvin was seen on surveillance cameras stalking Lauren and sneaking into her room. As Lauren returned to her apartment speaking to her mom on the phone, she suddenly screamed, and the call was disconnected.
Daughter LaurenMcCcluskey was talking to her mom, and then she just started saying, no, 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 no. And it sounded like someone might have been grabbing her or something.
Did she live on campus?
Yeah, she had broken up with a boy. Sean Fields is his name.
Has he made any threats or anything like that?
His friends were kind of harassing her a little bit.
When police arrived, they were too late. Lauren's backpack was on the floor, and her body was found in one of the cars around. She had been shot multiple times. Melvin had run away. He was seen going into a church where he pulled the trigger on himself. Holly Gazard was a 20-year-old hairstylist who lived and worked in Gloucester, United Kingdom. She lived with her mom, dad, and sister. Holly was close to her family, especially her dad, with the two being fans of the same soccer team. Holly loved working as a hairstylist, and you'd often see this in the experiments she did with her hair. According to her father, she never wore the same hair twice, something echoed by her friend and colleague Kaylee. Whenever there was a new hairstyle or color, Holly was willing to try it out. In November 2012, Holly got a job at a hairdressing salon in town called Reflections Hairdressers. It was about 5 miles from their house. Her boss, Faye Williams, and colleagues described her as a bubbly character who always loved to chat. After working with Faye and Kaylee for 3 years, Holly had gained enough experience and decided to travel. However, her dad, Nick, convinced her to combine her hairdressing with traveling by working on a cruise ship. She thought it was a great idea and started applying for jobs on a cruise ship. To help her prepare, she began working at a bar on a part-time basis. By February 2013, she got a cruise ship job and kept her part-time bar job. Asher Maslin was 21 years old when he met Holly. He was a regular at the local bar, where he met Holly. Maslin grew up in Cheltenham and worked as a security guard. As soon as Holly started working at the bar, Maslin's visits became more frequent and he started asking Holly out. He appeared charming and kind, but buried deeply under his lively persona was a past that troubled the strongest of humans. Maslin had been arrested 23 times for some disturbing and violent crimes, such as causing bodily harm, domestic abuse, and violence. However, Maslin hid this distressing information from his new girlfriend and her family. Holly eventually gave in to Maslin, and the two began dating. She told her friend Kaylee about Maslin, adding that he seemed persistent. Kaylee later realized that she knew Maslin from school. He was a senior by a couple of years and always acted like he was in charge. Holly and Maslin started slowly, but Holly began to enjoy Maslin's company. Soon they fell in love, and Holly's friends said she was happy. Holly was feeling pleased with the relationship that she introduced him to her family. When Maslin entered, Holly's mom recognized him immediately. She had worked in one of Maslin's schools, and his reputation was not glowing. Some weeks after Holly and Maslin started dating, her cruise ship was set to depart on a 9-month voyage to the Caribbean. Holly bid everyone goodbye and joined the tour. The first few days on the tour were exciting, as seen on her Instagram account. A week later, she regretted her decision and wanted to return home. When she came back home, it turned out that Maslin was the one who pressured her to return. He had been calling and texting her repeatedly until she no longer felt comfortable being away. The two resumed their relationship, but Maslin became controlling and possessive. He turned up whenever Holly was with her friends, demanding she go home with him. Nick also noticed that his daughter was moody whenever she visited them. It took a couple of hours with them before she could be her old self. A few weeks later, Holly announced that she was moving to London. She had gotten a new job, but she and Maslin would live with his cousin. Whenever they visited Gloucester and when Holly's family visited them, they'd notice his controlling behavior, but got assurance that everything was alright from Holly. At the Notting Hill Carnival in August, Maslin became very angry when he didn't know where Holly was. When they saw each other, Maslin pushed her to the ground. Shocked at the behavior, Holly returned to Gloucester and resumed living there with her family and a new job. But Maslin moved back too and continued his controlling behavior. When Holly tried to end the relationship, Maslin refused, and this went on for 2 months. By February 2014, she decided to call everything off in a public place. On February 14, Holly informed Maslin of her decision. He yelled at her, snatched her bank card, and withdrew money with it. Then he began sending threatening messages. Holly reported Maslin to the police, and that was when her family knew the extent of the abuse and threats she had to endure. The police started looking for Maslin, who got angry and increased the threats. On February 19, security footage captured him at the Gloucester town centre, agitated and arguing with staff. After that, he went to buy a kitchen knife and went straight to Holly's workplace. The two started arguing while Holly's boss called the police. Suddenly, Maslin retrieved the kitchen knife and stabbed Holly 14 times. Holly was pronounced dead at the hospital. Maslin was arrested 8 hours later. 5 months later, he appeared in court remorseless. He pleaded guilty and was sentenced to life in prison. On February 2024, Laken Riley, a 22-year-old nursing student of the University of Georgia, Athens, went out for her usual early morning jog. She informed her friend, who was already aware that Laken does this 2 times every week. Her jogging route was popular on campus, and there were never concerns about her safety. On this day, her friend expected her to be back around the usual time, but this wasn't the case. So they checked the Find My Friend app, which showed that Riley had been in the same place for more than 1 hour. This was strange for someone who was supposed to be jogging. They called Riley multiple times but got no answer. So they set out to look for her around 11:30 a.m. Some minutes into the search, they found one of her AirPods and called the police to report. Sadly, by 12:38 p.m., police officers found Laken's body on the ground along the trail. They found markings on her body and around her underwear, as well as a wound on her head with a bloody rock nearby. The news of the tragic passing got out, and people started coming forward with any information that could help. A jogger reported to the police that she passed by a man dressed in dark-colored clothes and hand gloves standing in front of a lake. When officers checked the surveillance cameras around the area, they saw a man fitting the description come out of the Azulik apartment complex very early in the morning. They followed his movements as he went on stalking people in the area. Later, the same man was seen trying to enter a student apartment unsuccessfully. He tried opening the door 5 times within 1 hour. He ran away when the student noticed and contacted the police. By 9:05 a.m., Laken could be seen jogging towards the lake. Some minutes later, she dialed 911, but didn't say anything to the operators. They tried calling her back, but she didn't pick up the calls. In the evening, they found a blood-stained jacket in a dumpster, and a doorbell camera showed the man they'd seen earlier dumping it. They also found a pair of gloves he threw in the nearby bush. DNA evidence from the jacket and gloves matched Laken's. The man in the videos turned out to be Jose Antonio Ibarra, a 26-year-old Venezuelan who entered the US illegally. Several other pieces of evidence connect Jose Antonio to Laken. Thankfully, his trial went on for only 4 days. He was found guilty of killing Laken alongside other offenses and was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. 14-year-old Emma Walker joined Central High School in Knoxville, Tennessee, 2014. Emma was also kind and caring. Her dream was to become a neonatal nurse, caring for newborn babies and their mothers. But Emma also loved and took part in sports, so it was easy to get drawn to the school's football team, the Bobcats. They are, after all, the main attraction for the school, according to some. Like many, Emma started attending the games and even decided to contribute her part by joining the team of cheerleaders. She was impressive and was the only freshman accepted that year. Everyone described her as free-spirited and fun to be with. It was through cheerleading that she met her boyfriend, William Riley Gall. Riley was a wide receiver for the Bobcats. He saw Riley on the cheerleading team, and the two became drawn to each other soon after. Although Riley already had a girlfriend, he ended the relationship to commit himself to Emma. Riley was an athletic and top-performing student, 2 years above Emma in school. He was also fun to be with, played video games, and worshipped at the community church. Riley and Emma soon became a popular couple in school. They visited each other's families and never missed a chance to be together. Everything changed when it was time for junior year prom. Riley had already promised to take his ex-girlfriend and was planning to fulfill that promise despite having a new partner. However, he vowed to take Emma to the senior year prom. Emma's family thought this was weird, but Emma didn't have any issues with this. Emma's friends also had issues with Riley. He wasn't open to connecting with them. They attributed it to shyness, but later started to question the reasons. It became clear to them that Riley was controlling and wanted Emma for only himself. Even when Emma's parents collected her phone, Riley got her another one so they could communicate secretly. Soon, the arguments began. Emma and Riley would break up and come back together. They disagreed on minor things and had nasty quarrels. Riley sent her strange messages, like saying Emma was dead to him, but would often apologize afterwards. Emma's parents tried to break the pair up from the toxic relationship, but they were not successful. 2 years into the relationship, Riley had graduated and was now a freshman at Maryville College. Riley started posting pictures with other girls from college, and Emma told everyone they had broken up. Her family breathed a sigh of relief, but Riley did not want to leave Emma alone. Riley started stalking her. November 18, 2016, Emma was at a friend's party when she received some disturbing texts, threatening to hurt someone if Emma did not come outside. When she reached outside with her friend Zach, they met Riley, who cooked up stories that he was kidnapped and afraid. Emma did not welcome him, so Riley stormed off angry while Emma slept at the house. The next morning, Emma drove home with her friend Haley. They noticed a man dressed in black walking on the streets. The man returned later, knocking on their door and ringing the bell frantically. Home alone, Emma was scared but thought it was a burglar, so she messaged Riley for help. When he arrived, the mysterious man was gone. The next day, Riley tried getting back to Emma for the last time, but she turned him down. Riley called more than 40 times and left numerous messages and voicemails. That night, Emma's dad heard strange noises, but his investigation led to nothing. By 6 a.m. the next day, Emma's mom went to her room to wake her up for school. It was a Monday. She got no response. She went closer and tried again. Nothing. So she turned her around to check her face. That was when she encountered the shock of her life. Emma's face was pale, her lips blue, and her pulse absent. She dialed 911. When police arrived, they found a bullet hole beside Emma's bed and 2 shell casings outside. Emma had been shot through the wall, and it must have been someone who knew her sleeping position quite well. Many people, including Riley, sent tributes and expressed shock at the tragic passing. During interrogation, Emma's family members and friends kept mentioning Riley. Riley's friends said he told them he was afraid after his kidnapping, and that he had acquired his grandfather's gun for protection. His grandfather reported the gun missing a day before passing. Riley also showed them the gun, and asked another friend if he knew how to erase fingerprints from a gun. Afterwards, he asked if they could help him put the gun into the Tennessee River. When brought in, Riley said he'd hurt himself before thinking of hurting Emma, but his other statements didn't match known facts. He refused to call Emma by name and tried to brush off questions about the gun. He said he was in Maryville, but his cell phone activity placed him on the road back to Knoxville and around Emma's house that night. Riley also denied speaking about a gun with his friends.
McCarty said that you showed him a handgun. Where is the gun?
I do not know.
You understand though, for us, Alex has no reason to lie about something like that.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, I don't know where it's at.
He said that you showed him the gun. You told him that you had it, And you told him that you got it from your granddad.
Don't have the gun. I don't know why he would say that.
Did you ever remember having a conversation with Noah about getting...
Riley's friends, Noah and Alex, volunteered to help the police. They had wires and hidden cameras, which recorded Riley's plans with the guns.
Are you busy right now? When you guys do anything? Because I need your gun. In the blood? I'm going to throw it in the water. They'll never find it. We can go on that. The smaller ledge that really looks out of the water. You know what I'm talking about? Like under? Yeah. And if I throw it with enough force, I know it's terrifying. I know this. You guys don't have to come with me if you don't want to. I mean, I'm not too bad, man. I just need to kind of sit down there. If it's in the team's here, but they will never find it.
Thanks to the two friends, police swooped in before Riley could throw the gun into the river. They arrested Riley and found black clothes and boots in his car. Riley was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison, with a possibility of parole after 51 years. And with that, we've come to the end of the list. It is a horrible thing to lose someone in those circumstances, and our hearts go out to the friends and families of the victims. Remember to pay attention to what's going on around you. If you feel like something is not right, call 911 and ask for help. Don't forget to like the video, and if you're interested in more cases like this, we have you covered on our channel. Click the subscribe button and check out the videos that will be on your screen in 3 seconds. See you there. I'm out.